So there is a state management in ASP.NET. So web always results in a stateless wire protocol. So when we are building our application and when we are running our variables from client to server, we need to maintain their state. Not only variables, but the controls, they should retain their data. So we want to have the data within that text box or variables. I want to retain that data. So for that, there are different options are available in .NET, in ASP.NET. One of them is the ViewState. So when we talk about the page level, only one page we want to maintain the view state or the state of the controls, then we use the option view state. The term view state is basically uh, is the state management where the data of the control and the state of the control is maintained in a hidden variable. So hidden variable is storing the data in a base 64 encoded system. So let me explain you how the view state works here practically. I have a button here, I have a text box here and a command button. So if we go to the view, we have ASP text box, txt view run at server text box, a break, and then I have a button which has run at server and click me. And I have a event on click which is wired up with the button, and it has a method called button view. So this is my code behind. In this code behind, what I'm doing, this is my page class, and in this page class I have taken one variable in click equals to 0, and on page load I'm checking whether it's a first time page is loading. If it is first time, then textbox.textView.text equals to 0, means that will have the value 0. But when I click on this button, then what I am doing, whatever the value of the in click, in the beginning it will be 0. It should be incremented by 1. And that value I am assigning to the text box. So txtview.text is equal to int click.toString. So my expectation is that whenever I click on the button, it should increase the value of the click variable and should assign the next value to the txt view.text. So if I run it, so here by default, because this code where it says that is post equals to false, then it is putting the value in the text box as 0. So now I clicked on it. When I click on it, it is going to increment the value by 1. I'm clicking on it. So again post back happened. So see what is happening when I click on it, post back happens, this page is reloaded. Again it sets the value by 0 for this variable. This piece of code will not execute because it is not the first time we are posting back. else I have not written, so that code will not execute on the subsequent request to the page. But this code will execute again. So now again, because this page is loaded, so again it sets the value of the int click equals to 0. So if I click on this button again, whereas my expectation is that it should return 2 or 3 or 4, but it is all the time giving 1. So the reason is that because postback happened, again it sets its value 0, and I'm incrementing the value by 1, and it says textbox.intClick equals to 1. So all the time it will return 1 in this case. Now how to overcome this problem? So to overcome this problem, we have concept called ViewState. So initially my int click equals to 0. Now I will use ViewState. And I can give any name here. So this is totally custom ViewState. So if I say click equals to int click. So what I'm storing here, that my ViewState has the click value. Initially it will be 0, right? Now I'm saying ViewState click actually we can write it here. So here are the changes that I did for this. So ViewState. So ViewState is the keyword which is in the ASP.NET. So this I have not changed anything over here on the page load, but on button click I have taken one variable which is called ViewState, and this is a custom. It's click. You can put any name here, because whatever the value you put here for the variable name, so it maintain the state into that variable. So here if you see ViewState, I have taken click. So when you take that variable first time, so it is by default having null value, means there is nothing inside it. So I'm saying if ViewState not equals to null, then not equals to null means it has some value, but in the beginning it does not have any value. So if in the beginning if does not have value, then assign the value whatever the int click is variable is having plus 1. So it means first time it will have value 1. And in the text box, I want to print that value. Which value? ViewState click. So ViewState click has value 1. Now again if I click on the button, now this ViewState maintains the last value. Means before postback you have some value. Now you get the response from the server, but ViewState value is 1 in that case. And again you are clicking on this button and you are checking, okay, is it not equals to null? Yes, it is not equal to null because it has value 1 now. So view state equals to whatever the value in the view state, because by default it is object type. So what I'm doing, I'm just making it integer plus 1 because I want to do the mathematical operation. So I converted it into integer. So it has value 1. 1 plus 1, 2. So view state 1 plus 1, 2. So this view state click variable is now having value 2. It will not go to else. Now it will print 2. And same with the other subsequent request when I click on the button. So let us see the output. So here value is 0. When I click on it, it is 1. When I click on button again, now it is 2, 3, 4 and so on. So the reason was because view state is maintaining the value inside it. That is why it is not losing its data, and it is maintaining the data in every post back. So that is the purpose of view state. So if I right click on this page and if I go to view page source, so we can see view page source basically tells the what is the output you are getting that onto your browser, what is the source there. So here we can see that this view state. So view state ID equals to, it's a hidden variable. This variable is not visible on the screen and it has some value. So it has this value which is very long, and we cannot read, we cannot understand with this what it indicates. It's a basically encoded value which has a base 64, and within this value it is maintaining the view state. So view state underscore view state this. So data is used to again repopulate the forms perspective. So the best way to use it is on the view state to maintain the on the page level is important, because the view state is storing the data into that format which, if for example there is a hacker who wants to hack your page data, so they cannot hack it because the data is maintained in the encoded format. Okay, so this is the one thing. The controls also have the view state property, so we can decide whether that control can have the want to maintain their view state or not. So if I see this text box, so there is a property called enabled view state. Okay, so let us see what is the default property given to it. So if I go to the properties here, so by default it is not mentioned. So if you want to maintain the view state property, then you can set true. And if you don't want to maintain the view state property of the text box, you can say false. So on the control level also, we can maintain the view state property. But there is always a performance issue if you maintain the view state into the enable view state equals to true. The reason is that because this view state property is to be maintained. If you have more and more view state, so that ultimately a burden to the page. So always it is preferable to put the view state property to those controls for which we need it. If we don't need it, then just make it false or make it whatever the default property. Okay, so by default it is false. So we can also maintain the property on the basis of page level also. Say an example here. If I say enable view state equals to true or false. By default it is true on the page level. But if you maintain it false, then on the complete page level, that proper view state is not maintained. Let us make it false and run it. Let me build it and run it. So here I have data. Now the same code which I have written right here, same code I am executing. I'm clicking on this. It returned 1, 1. It is not incrementing the value because the view state is false. So if view state is false, that view state data will not be recovered or not maintained.